Hello all, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm back with another interesting topic, how to import AP invoices using FBDI in Oracle Fusion. So generally we use FBDI, which is file-based data interface, to import AP invoices from say legacy system. So generally this is used during the data conversion. Now let's see what are the steps involved in importing the AP invoices using FBDI. So first thing is you should download the FBDA template from Oracle website. So let me just open this URL. Just move this. Okay, so in this website, go to cloud applications, and then under the search, type this file-based data import for financials. So under search, file-based data import for financials. And then I can click on Oracle Financials Cloud file-based data import. And then navigate to payable standard invoice import. So navigate to payable standard invoice import. So this is the template. Download this template. So the template is downloaded to my downloads folder. So let me open the template. Okay, so in the template, I have two tabs, AP invoices and AP invoice lines interface. So this is kind of header and this is the lines. And the template comes with the default data. So I'll just get rid of the all lines in the template except one line. So I can use that one line as my reference. So let me get rid of this. Similarly, I'll do the same thing in the AP invoice lines as well. Maybe I just want to use two lines and let me get rid of all other lines. It's a big template with a lot of data, so I'm just getting rid of all the lines. Yeah, delete. Okay, coming back to the AP invoices. So here you can see star stands for required and double star stands for at least one required. So here you can see supplier name and supplier number has a double star wherein only just one value is required. Okay, first start with the invoice ID. Invoice is mandatory. It's just a kind of any. So every field has a tooltip, and in the tooltip, when you hover your cursor there, you'll be able to see the tooltip. You can read the tooltip. So invoice ID is a unique identifier for this invoice. You assign the same value to the invoice. So that means this is kind of a header. And for this particular invoice header, you are providing a line. So you need to assign the same invoice ID here as well. So the system understand that this particular invoice has these two lines. So if you have multiple invoices, then maybe 100 for the first line and maybe say 101 for the second line and so on. And then here it will be something like 101, line 1, line 2, line 3, and so on. Okay. So let me get rid of this. So I'm just giving just one invoice. So 100. And what is your business unit? So unfortunately, these do not have any drop down. So you need to manually enter and you should ensure that you enter proper details. If you are not aware of the exact business unit name, so what you can do is you can go to your invoice entry screen and then copy the required values. Go here, click on create invoice. So this is your business unit. Copy this value, paste it here. And source, you can just leave it as the default value external. So this is required whenever you are importing this particular data from this particular so first step what we are doing is we are actually pushing the data from this particular template into the interface table, and then we import the data from interface table into the your AP based table. So when you are running the payable invoice import program, so this is required. So just make a note, the source whatever we have entered is external. And what is your invoice number? Maybe I just want to call it as maybe this is, I just say test ARV123. And what is your invoice amount? Maybe I just want to put my invoice amount as 6540. Invoice date. So date should be in YYYYMMDD format. So today's October 17th. So I just want to input it as 2021 10/17. So it should be YYYYMMDD format. And supplier name. So I just want to use my supplier, which is ABC Consulting. Again, if you are not aware of the exact name, so go here, just search for your supplier, and then come back to the screen and then copy that particular value here. Again, only one of these are mandatory, so I'll get rid of the supplier number as I have already entered the supplier name. Supplier site. So if I do not remember the supplier site, maybe let me enter the supplier here, and then this is my site. Let me copy the site here. And then the invoice currency and payment currency, you can just enter whatever the invoice currency and payment currency which you want. If you do not enter here, so see the tooltip here, currency code of the invoice, enter the 3-letter ISO 444217 currency code, which is your 3-digit currency code. If you do not enter a value, then the supplier site currency code will default during the invoice import. So if you do not enter any value here, so remember here this is not mandatory. So if you do not enter anything here, system will put it from your supplier side. The same is the case with the payment currency also. If you did not enter any value, supplier will default it from your supplier side. And what is the description of the invoice? Maybe I'll just say test payment for ABC Consulting. Again, import set is a kind of grouping of the data when you are importing the data. I mean, you can push the data from this template into the interface table, and then when you are actually importing the data from the interface table into base tables, you can import in small chunks. So that means all the data wherein your import set is, say, I mean, in this example, AP cloud demo, only those lines in the interface table which has this import set will be pulled into your Oracle, your base table. So I just want to leave it blank. So here you can see import set can be used to limit the import to invoices with a particular set. So if there is a large data and if there are any kind of a performance issue, you want to import only certain set of data. So in that case, so if this import set would be useful. So I'm just leaving it as blank. And invoice types. So there are 3 invoice types which are available: your standard, credit, and prepayment. So unfortunately, there are no other invoice types. So if you go to your Oracle screen, so you have 6 types: your standard, prepayment, debit memo, credit memo, withholding tax, and retainage release. So you do not have generally withholding tax. Systems takes care of creating a withholding tax invoices, but you do not have an option to upload your say debit memo or retainage release. For some reason, if you have such kind of requirement, then it's not possible using your FBDI. Okay, legal entity, again you can leave it blank. System will take care of defaulting it from your business unit. So again, for each and every field there is a tooltip. You can go through the tooltip and it will give you the clear explanation. And this is a tax registration number, so supplier tax registration number. So if you know the supplier tax registration number, you can enter it, otherwise you can leave it blank. Payment terms, you can leave it the default immediate, or you can enter your own payment terms. Term state. So again, term state should be in YYYYMMDD format. So term state is used in your due date calculation. So I just want to use my invoice date as my term state. Okay. Again, you have goods received date, invoice received date, and so on. Accounting date, I want to again use the same thing. Remember again the date format, everything should be in YYYYMMDD format. Payment method, check. Pay group is again a way of grouping of your supplies. If you want, you can leave the default one, or you can leave it blank. PL11, I'm leaving it blank. Discountable amount. The amount, discountable amount is basically the invoice amount applicable to discount. If you do not enter anything to generally from system perspective, the entire invoice amount is applicable towards discount. Prepayment number, prepayment line number, prepayment application date, prepayment accounting date, all these prepayment related information needs to be entered if you want this particular invoice to be applied to any of the open prepayment. If you do not have any prepayment, you can leave this blank. Conversion rate type, if it's a foreign currency invoice, that is your invoice currency is different from your functional currency, enter the conversion rate type, rate date, rate, etc. Otherwise, you can leave it blank. Liability combination. So again, account to which the liability is recorded and an accrual base of accounting. So again, if you want, you can enter the liability account code combination, or you can leave it blank. So the system will default it from your supplier side. So I just want to enter my liability account. This is my liability account. Document category code. This is basically if you want to use document sequencing. So here you have actually, I do not want to use this, so I'm just leaving it blank. So here you have here you can see the comment like generally if you left blank, the value of this field will be defaulted from the setup. So if use hash null, if you do not want the value to be defaulted from the setup. So if you do not want anything to be defaulted by, from the setup, you can just leave it as hash null. Just leaving it as blank. Delivery channel code, bank charge, bearer. Again, this if you do not want anything to be defaulted from your setups, you can just leave it as hash null. Remit to supplier is basically if you are making payment to a third party, that is you are making a payment to any other third party on behalf of the supplier, then you can enter the remit to supplier details. Again, if you do not enter, so here you have kind of a rules based on the system default the remit to supplier. Remit to supplier number, remit to address, and so on. Payment priority. Again, I'm just leaving the default value. Settlement priority. Again, there are a lot of hundreds of fields, so I'm not going in detail of each and every field. Payment reason code, payment reason comments, remittance message, which is used in your electronic funds transfers. So pretty much most of these are used in your electronic funds transfers. Withholding tax, if you're using withholding, then you can enter the withholding tax group. Otherwise, you can leave it blank. Just want to leave it as blank. Yeah, again, tax invoice, internal sequence number. Again, this is used for some tax purpose. Again, supplier tax invoice number, tax invoice recording date, supplier tax invoice date, and so on. These are all attribute fields. And then global attributes. Yeah. Now we are done with entering of the data for invoice headers. Now let me enter the data for invoice lines. Ensure the same is used here. Okay. So I just want to use two invoice lines. And here you have values here, whether you want to enter item, tax, freight, or miscellaneous. So I'm just entering item. And I just want to enter two lines, one with 5,000 and other with 1,000. So if you observe here, the total amount is 6,000, but at the header I have entered 6,540, and this is inclusive of tax. System in based on my setup, system will calculate 9% tax. So total invoice amount becomes 6,540. So I'm entering 5,000 plus 1,000, two line items, and for remaining 540, system will calculate tax. Okay. And the description, I just want to enter it as payment for expense software, and this is payment for and if these are kind of PO related, you enter the PO number. Otherwise, you can leave it blank. Distribution code combination. So I just want to use, this is my expense software. So I want to use this distribution code combination. This is my miscellaneous expense. So I want to use this. I do not want to use any distribution set. So I'm leaving it as hash null. Accounting date. Ensure that the accounting date, which is entered at the header, should be matching with your lines. Okay, I think you can even enter a different accounting unit. Ultimately, whatever the accounting unit which you enter at a line level matters from an accounting perspective. So shift location, null, withholding tax group null, and if it's a asset related purchase, then enter the asset related columns. Again, these are attribute columns, global attributes, and so on. Okay, so now you are done with entering of the required data in the template. The next step would be, first let me save this. Next step would be to prepare the template with the required data. We have done with that and convert the template into a CSV file. Now let me click on generate CSV file. So when you click on the generate button, it will generate one zip file and another one CSV file. Okay, CSV and zip files have been created. Let me close this. Let me go to documents. Okay, so this is where my zip file is created. Zip file is what we need to import. Convert the templates into CSV format, and then populate the data into interface table by running the job load interface file for import. So it's a two-step process. First, you are running the first program which will import the data from the template into the interface table. Then you need to run another program which will import the data from interface table to the Oracle base table. So once it is imported to base tables, you can go to your invoices screen and then you can search for that invoice. So first start with the first program. So we need to go to the cancel this. We need to go to the schedule process. Go to tools, schedule process, and then search for the program load interface file for import. Schedule process. Click on the drop down, click on search, load interface file for import. Select this program. So here you can see the description: transfer setup or transaction data from a user specified location to an interface table. So click on OK. So import process, the name of the import process, import payables invoices. Import payables invoices. And then specify we have specified the name of the program and then upload the zip file. So it is available under my doc. Okay. And then click on submit. So my process ID is ending with 876. So let me wait for the process ID to be complete. So this is the first step, which is importing the data from my file into the interface table. Once this particular program is completed, we can run the second program, which will push the data from interface table into Oracle base tables. Yeah, I think our yeah, I think our program is completed. Okay, now let me run the second program. it should import the data from the interface table, which is import payables invoices. Again, you should not get confused. So when you are running the first program, this is the name of the program, and then within that program, you are running this import process, import payables invoices, which is kind of exactly matching here. And then once that is done, you are running the import data from interface into base table by running this ESG job, import payables invoices. So here you can see the description creates Oracle Fusion payable invoices from invoice data in the open interface tables. So when you try to enter this, so remember like when you have entered your invoice data, you have mentioned a source. We have mentioned the source of external. So when you are again importing the data, now you should specify the same source. Go here. Yeah, source is external. So when you are running the program, you need to select the source as external, because you want to import those records in the interface table where the source is external. And also in the import set, as I mentioned, import set can be used if you want to import a specific set of data. We have not entered anything. If you have entered anything, you can select that, you can specify that import set. And what else? Business unit is defaulted. If you want, you can put the data in the interface table, otherwise you can leave it blank, it doesn't matter. Because even if you do not purge, when you run the same program, next time system will not require process these records or import these records, because all these records, if they are successful, could be marked as process, so that this program do not become these records even though they exist in the interface table in the next. Submit. So my process ending with 887 got triggered. Table import payables invoices got triggered. It's running. Okay, so this particular program is completed successfully. This has triggered this program. So or this report. So wait for the report also completed. Once this is completed, we can search for the invoice. So what was our invoice number? Yeah, this is our invoice number. So we can search for this invoice. Yeah, it's completed. If you want, you can check the log or output file. You can put your cursor here and then check the log or output file. Otherwise, you can directly go to home page and then payables, invoices, search for your invoice number, test ARV123 in my example. Okay, so let me now validate the invoice. It is validated successfully, and ideally I should be able to see tax of 540. Yeah, tax of 540. So that's how your invoice is matching. 6,540 is the header, and I have two lines, 5,000 and 1,000, and 540 is the tax. So invoice is validated successfully, and approval required in my setup. So I'm just doing a force approval. So upload is also done, and then let me do accounting. I just did the draft accounting, and then here you can see my invoice is accounted, and I can see your item expense debit, your item expense debit, your non-recoverable tax debit, non-recoverable tax, two non-recoverable tax for two lines, and then your liability got created. So totally you can see your accounting entry got generated. Again, this is still in a draft mode. I did not do it in a final mode. And even if you want to export this, you can also click on this export to Excel, which will export this particular data to a spreadsheet, and you can review the accounting entries there. Okay. So this is how you import the data during your data conversion from legacy system into Oracle without any technical effort. A functional person can enter the data in the template, and then you can just follow these steps to import the data into Oracle. Thank you. Thanks for watching my video. For interesting videos on Oracle Financials, please do subscribe to my channel. Thank you.